So I had someone reach out to me recently to ask how they can book a client, and as I was trying to answer their question, it just occurred to me that I've actually never shared the story of how I booked my first client. So I wanted to share that with you on how I made my first $1,000 as an event planner. I'm Jody Ann Rowe, founder of the Event Certificate, and I work with event planners and wedding planners to help them double their online leads. If you're struggling to find clients, stop struggling on your own. www.eventcertificate.com. Check me out and let me know if you have any questions. So here's the thing. When you're just starting out, it's not always easy to book clients. Now, most of your first clients will probably be friends and family members, and often, as it was in my experience, those clients were not really paying what they needed to, right? And I was hesitant to charge them. I don't know about you. So I was hesitant to charge, and I will usually just say cover the cost. So I was making no money on those events. So what I want to look at today is actually how I made actual profit. The first event that was profitable for me, or my first $1,000. Now, it was more than 1,000, I'll be honest, but let me just tell you how it went. So when I started my business on the side, I was still working full time as a corporate event planner in-house at a company. So what I did was I was doing a ton of outreach to local businesses because I was more interested in doing like smaller corporate and social events. I had zero interest in weddings. Sorry, guys. So what I did was I looked at a couple of the businesses in my area. I looked at the ones that I think would need assistance when planning events. I made a list and I actually went through, picked up the phone and did some calling. Now, one of the key things here that I did that you need to pay attention to is I didn't just call the receptionist. No, I looked at the business. I looked at who was in the space where I needed to be. So someone who would be making a decision about fundraising events, social events, an event planner being hired. And those were the people that I tried to get to. So when I went through the list, I called a number of places. I was calling up real estate agents. I was calling up libraries. I was calling up cultural centers. I was just calling places up and asking them if they needed any assistance with their event. Now, here's the thing. I was not telling them they needed to hire me on the phone. I was just asking if they needed any assistance. Now, finally, I called up my hospital, right? So it was the hospital in my area. And what I did was I can't just call the front desk at a hospital. It is huge. The front desk is just going to try to push you to multiple departments. So what I did was I looked at the information for their fundraising department. And when I found the fundraising department, I looked up who the manager and coordinators were. And I reached out and asked them if they were looking for any volunteers. Now, of course, they were like, yeah, we're always looking for volunteers to help us raise money. And they had a ton of events that were coming up. So they were looking for event volunteers. So one of them forwarded me to someone and she said, you know what? We could use a ton of event volunteers. So if you're interested, just let me know. I can tell you the event, what you need to do, and how you can help. And I said to her, oh, that's great. I would love to be a part of that. But here's the thing. I'm actually an event planner, right? I'm a corporate planner and I'm coming to you with a ton of experience. I've helped this company and that company and these brands bring in a ton of money. And I'll be honest, I would love to participate in helping you plan the event, but I will volunteer my time. Now, when I explained my background and my expertise and my experience, right, they were very excited, right? She was like, oh my God, okay, yeah, I don't want you at the front line anymore. I want you to help us plan. And I said, yes. Now, she said to me, here's the thing though, it might require a lot more work. I was down for that. I said, yes, I'm willing. Throw me in. Just let me know what you need. And that's how I became a part of the planning committee in the fundraising office. So they took me on as a volunteer and I volunteered. I did that first event with them, no problem. If they needed help finding sponsors, I was that person. Help getting posters designed, printed, getting tables done, organizing and planning, I was there. Now, here's the thing. The planning committee was made up of all volunteers, and they were volunteering from all different areas, right? There was one person who was a lawyer. There was one person who was a photographer. So the expertise on the planning committee was different. Now, I had an advantage because I was coming in with a planning background, right? And I had experienced planning corporate events. So I was able to really come in and, get a good slice of the pie where I can make an impression. Now, once that was over, it was a very quick event, right? It was about 1 hour of my time meeting, but then I had to do hours outside of that where I had to do all the sponsorship and all the other work. But it was worth it because here's what happened. They were so impressed with my assistance and my volunteer work that they reached out to me for the other fundraising event that they were going to have. So they reached out and asked if I could also volunteer on the planning committee. And this is where I want you to pay attention. So when they reached out, I said to them, oh, you know what, guys, that's great. And I would love to help you. But here's the thing. I have a couple of events coming up and I would only be able to assist you if it was actually on a paid basis. Now, here's the thing. I can still offer you the time. I can guarantee you a certain amount of things, but I would have to get compensated. And they said to me, okay, well, we're going to have to think about it, right? Because now we're going to have to pay you and it wasn't in our budget. And I said, that's fine. Go ahead and let me know. So what they did was they went about, they thought about it, and they came back to me and they said, you know what? You helped us so much and we're so impressed that if you're able to come on and do everything you did previously, we would love to pay you. And guys, that's how I made my first 1,000 as an event planner. So they did take me on, they did pay me. We set a sponsorship goal. That was the only difference here. We set a higher sponsorship goal than the volunteer event. So I had to be doing the planning, securing sponsors, and we were able to surpass the goal. Thankfully, we were able to purchase a new MRI machine for the hospital, which was amazing, right? And the great thing about that is now I was able to add them under my belt as a client, which was major because the next client that I went to book, when I was able to say to them, so my previous client that I just booked was the hospital. They were so impressed. They didn't even need to see a portfolio. So that's how I made my first 1,000. I hope this is helpful to you and you're able to take away some lessons and some nuggets from this. If you have any questions though, drop them below and I'll answer them for you. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.